What is it? We are live. Med School Motivation Monday. Give everybody a second to hop on here. What's up, guys? It's Monday. I saw you guys last week. We did Black Lives Matter. This week, we're back to more pre-med stuff, but I hope you guys got the message from last week. If you didn't, check that video out. This week, we're talking about how your classes and how many you take and which classes you take affect your ability to get into medical school. So at the end of this video, you will understand the strategy behind picking your classes, when you take them, how you take them, and how you execute to get to medical school. So what up? Let's see who just said what up. Someone said yo. Jovan, yo. Lindsay, hello. Carla, hello. Leanne, hello. Casey, hello. Hey. All right, so classes in session. Classes. How many? When many? And why many? Okay. This question comes from my private group. Someone today was confused and asked the question, hey, I was just told by my counselor that I need to take these 4 super hard-ass upper division science classes in order to graduate on time this semester. So they advised me to take, I think it was organic chemistry, microbiome, biochemistry, and physics, all in 1 quarter. Is that a good idea? The most important question, guys, if you guys want to be your own pre-med advisor, the number 1 question you can ask yourself is, what is the purpose? If you guys have ever taken one of my courses, this is literally the question I tell you guys to ask in every single section of every one of my courses is, what is the purpose? If you want to find out what you should do, ask yourself, what is the purpose? And to extend that, right, what I mean by what is the purpose? What are you trying to achieve? What is the objective? And once you figure out the objective, then you can figure out if something is helping you actually achieve it or not. Does that make sense? Javier, what is up? Hello. Daniel, my man. Wendy, hey. Utham, what up? Oh, I'm Dr. Domination now. I kind of like that. I'm going to start using that. Elizabeth. Yes, I have not been on in a while, guys. It's a rare occasion. I've been busy making courses and spending time coaching students, having a good time. On a bright note, so while we're talking about coaching students, I don't want to toot my own horn or anything, but today, if you guys don't know, is October 16th. It's UC Davis's big first announced day, and I'm feeling kind of good because I had 6 students today get accepted to UC Davis on the first day of acceptances. So we're having a good UC Davis year. I don't know, maybe I'm in tune with UC Davis. They like what we're bringing to the table. And it was funny because I got lots of text messages saying thank you. And I want to say thank you to you guys. And I want to send a tribute out to these people who put in the work, worked their tail off, and the end result is acceptances. And I keep trying to tell you guys, and the people who are in my groups know, and someone said, I think it was 2 days ago on the group, the number 1 thing they learned from me is to be confident, to feel good about themselves, and have certainty that they can achieve whatever they want as long as they work hard and they work smart and they get at it. And that's literally all my people are doing. So 60 sentences today, nothing to do with me, everything to do with them putting the work in right, and not letting anybody deter them from being their excellent, amazing, competent self. So I'm proud of all you guys. Congrats. Throw it up. UC Davis, an amazing medical school. So what is the purpose? Well, what do I mean by that? What are you trying to achieve? What's the objective? Start there. Then, once you figure out what the objective is, it's important to ask ourselves 3 questions. Are you guys ready? This is decision making, decision tree 101. You guys want to know what happens in business when business decide, like, should we do this merger? Should we do this? When you're making business decisions in business, large scale, this is the kind of risk analysis is what they do, right? Venture capitalists, what do? They do risk analysis. And they get paid millions of dollars to effectively answer 4 questions. The first question is, what is the purpose? The second question is, so that's question 1. Question 2, by the way, is this right side to you guys? Can you guys see this right side ways? Is my writing coming, or is it flipped? If it's flipped, I'm going to stop writing. If it's not flipped, I'll keep writing. Oh yeah, we're all good? Christopher, thank you. Thank you, I appreciate it. All right, so we're all good. So number one question is, what's the purpose? We gotta find our objective, right? We gotta know where our goal is to figure out if this decision is gonna move us closer or further away from that. Question 2, 3, and 4. Question 2. What is the worst that can happen? So what is the absolute, if you make a decision, if you do something, what is the absolute worst thing that could happen? The absolute nightmare, right? This is the easiest one to answer. That's why it's first. What is the worst that can happen? We all catastrophize, right? Catastrophe, that's a word. We all make it a catastrophe. What is the worst that can happen? Absolute worst. First figure out that. Then ask yourself, what is the best case scenario? So the best case. Right? What's the worst that can happen? What's the best that can happen? The third question to ask is, what is most likely? If you guys can answer these 4 questions effectively in your life, you can be professional consultants and you can go in and make millions of dollars on venture capital and finance and all these things. This is literally what they ask each other. What's the purpose? What are we trying to achieve? Does this do it? Now, within trying to achieve those things, towards that goal, what's the worst that could happen? What's the best that could happen? And what's the most likely to happen? And then within these 2, you have to assign from 0 to 10 a likelihood scale, right? A likelihood ratio to create risk. 0 to 10, how likely is this to happen? How likely is this to happen? And this is, of course, a 10. This is what's most likely to happen. And this may seem like redundant questions to you, but let's break it down. Student said, my counselor told me to take 4 super hard upper division science classes all in one semester. So 4 science classes in one semester. So what's the purpose? Well, the counselor says the reason you're going to take these 4 classes this semester is so you can graduate on time. My question to you is that a good objective? Is that a good purpose for taking 4 science classes in one semester? Is that a good goal? Yes, I'm going to take 4 classes so that way I can graduate on time. Woo! Yes, that's really important. Is that important? Don't cheat and listen to my sarcasm. I want a genuine, I want your guys' response. Is that a legit reason to take 4 science classes in a semester? Because you want to finish on time. What if I want to finish early? Is that a good reason? I want to finish early so I can be done and have extra time to do whatever. Are those 2 good reasons to take 4 science classes in one semester? Light the box up, guys. I will wait. 𝐸𝐸𝐴𝐸 and Janelia are not going to be the only leaders of this group. Yes or no? Sam, it has been a long time. What is up, man? Sam, send me an email today. You're in trouble. I haven't heard from you in a while. Bradford, not a good goal. Exactly. Okay. No, that person will be head over heels. No, honestly. So Daniel says yes if you can handle it. No. No. Wendy said absolutely not. So I didn't ask you if it was a good idea to take 4 classes. What I asked you is it a good idea to take 4 classes with the objective of graduating on time? And the answer to that is absolutely not. Because what bearing does finishing on time have in terms of getting you into medical school? Does finishing on time versus finishing a semester or 2 late, does that hurt your chances of admission to medical school? No, it does not. It absolutely does not. Unless you are purposefully spacing out your science classes. So where it hurts people, and it's called the density, right, or course load, is that you'll see certain people who have 4.0s. And medical schools will laugh when they get their transcript and they'll say that 4.0 is a fake 4.0 because they took 1 science class every semester for 15 years. That's cheating. That doesn't count. But finishing 1 semester late or 2 semesters late so that you could avoid taking 4 classes in 1 semester will not affect your medical school admissions. Another question, let's ask you guys. Does it improve your chances of getting into medical school if you graduate early? This is another question I get all the time. Oh, if I graduate early, So does graduating early improve your chances of getting into medical school? Zach, got it right. Everyone follow Zach's comment and say the same thing. Heck no it don't. Graduating early, it's a common misnomer. People are like, oh yeah, I graduated college in 2 years. Accept me to medical school, I'm amazing. No. Nobody cares how fast you did it. They care how well you did it. If you can execute 4.0 in 2 years, that's the same impressive as it is graduating 4.0 in 4 years. It makes no difference. In fact, statistically, graduating early actually is negative correlation with getting into a top medical school. So what ends up happening, right? If you graduate early, you end up sacrificing a lot that makes your application well-rounded. So the statistics say that if you graduate early, you actually have a reduced chance of getting into a top medical school. Not just any medical school, to a top medical school. All right. So now we've established, right, that objective doesn't match up. So when you get advice and someone says, hey, you should do this, your very first question is to ask them, well, why? What's the purpose? Why should I do that? What do you expect me to achieve? What's the objective of the advice you just gave me? And if people can't answer the why, or they give you a BS answer for the why, then you know it's bad advice. Does that make sense to everybody? Hey, take 4 classes in 1 semester. Well, why? So you can graduate on time. Oh, well, that doesn't really make sense, so I'm not going to do that. I've just seen right through your advice. Let's take a step back. 4 classes, let's ignore that objective. Let's say we want to take 4 classes to challenge ourselves, whatever. Okay? 1, 2, 3. What is the worst that can happen? You take 4 classes in a semester. What's the worst, the absolute worst case scenario? You take 4 really hard science classes, biochemistry, physics, OChem, and microbiology. What's the worst that could happen? What is the worst that could happen? Cassine, what up? Colorado, Pueblo, home of heroes, David. I'm not sure what that's about. Ediniana. I don't know what that's about. Okay, the worst that could happen is you could fail them all. You could fail them all. Now, is that bad? To fail 4 upper division science classes? It's awful. It's catastrophic to your chances of getting into medical school. 4 upper division Fs is really hard to overlook. We talk about the uptrend, right? 4 freshman year Fs you can overcome. 4 senior year Fs, it's really hard to overcome because that's the last taste you leave in their mouth, right? It's like, ooh, that aftertaste is terrible. That's 4 Fs. So it is awful. Okay, we won't assign like likelihood yet. We'll just say it's awful. What's the best case scenario? Take all 4 science classes. What's the best case scenario? You get all A's. Miraculously, you get all A's. All right. So this is A's. This is F's. Okay. What is the most likely thing to happen if you take 4 science classes, upper division science classes in 1 semester? What is the most likely thing to happen? We'll take a step back. It might be easier for you guys to do it this way. Okay, so this is the worst thing that can happen. You fail all 4 classes. For the normal person, not my students, for the normal person, what are the likelihood that you fail all 4 classes in your science class? You take 4 division science. What's the odds? 0 to 10, 0 being not likely at all, 10 being the absolute surest thing ever. 0 to 10, how likely is it you get all Fs in all 4 of those classes? Okay, 1, 6. Bradford said, not likely, we dominate. So my students are not allowed to answer this question. People who are not in my study course, you guys can answer these questions. Or tell you what, people who are in my study class, who are in my 5 pillars course, you guys answer it like your old self. So from 0 to 10, 0 being not likely at all, 10 being very likely. So I'm getting a lot of 4, 5s, and 6s. So we'll call it 4 to 6. Okay. Now, best case scenario, you get all A's. From 0 to 10, 0 being not likely at all, 10 being absolutely sure thing. What are the chances you get all A's? From 0 to 10. Linda said 5. Jeffrey said 4. Carla said all F's, maybe a 5. Matt said, remember me dropping 3s on your team. Matt, you ain't never dropped no 3s on me. I can't recall that at all. I remember blocking that ish. Get it out of here. Get it out of here, swatting. Carla said 2. Tyler said 5. Linda said 1. Hello, Jode. Okay. I would say the best case scenario, A's in 4 upper division science classes. Unless you're me, even for my students, I would say this is pretty low likelihood. I'd say this is like a 2. Truthfully, 4 A's, all upper division science classes. It's hard to do. My students probably much better odds, but the average student, most of you cats, it's about a 2. It's about a 2. It'd be real hard to get 4 A's in OChem, biochemistry, microbiome, and physics 2. Not physics 1, physics 2. That's hard, so we'll call that a 2. Out of these two, which one is more likely to happen? This one. What is the most likely thing to happen? As everybody was saying, the most likely thing to happen is either you get average grades or you get good grades. That's the most likely thing to happen. And for some of you guys make horrible decisions because you have the inability to understand the repercussions of that decision. You have a need and a desire to rationalize things and to do the most simple thing, the thing that feels the best to you because it feels good, because it's gratifying. As opposed, right, I had that video about the inconvenient truth. You don't want to be inconvenienced. So what happens is instead of taking the time to suss this out, what you guys ask, you skip these 2 things. You just ask this. And you said, okay, wait, if I take these 4 classes, well, like I'll probably get average grades. I'll probably get good grades. Probably get average. Hope, this is live. Average or good grades. You say that to yourselves. You rationalize this to being an okay outcome. You're like, yeah, if I can take 4 upper division science classes and I get 4 B's or I get 2 A's and a B and a C or I get 2 A's and 2 B's, I'm happy with that. That's a great semester. Raisa, what up? That's a great semester. Is that a great semester? Or are you rationalizing because you're like, ooh, I'll be done with the 4 classes and all I want to do is be done. So let's just go. It'll be fine. Average is okay. And then you get these average or good grades and you go and you apply to medical school and then you wonder why you don't get in. And you're upset. Why are you upset? Because you failed to see the repercussions of what average is. Average is everybody. And Lindsay said it right. You're settling. Kasim said a story of freshman year. For most people, right? Oh, I'm going to take a bunch of classes, and if I just get by, I'm happy. If I just survive freshman year, I heard this weed out class. If I just survive, it's okay. And Jeffrey just said it, right? And Bradford said it too. It's rational, but it's a lie, right? It's rational lies. And Jeffrey said average does not get you in. It's the truest thing. But we somehow tell ourselves that, oh, as long as I get by, if I'm average, it'll be okay. No, if you're average, you'll be average out of medical school because the average person doesn't get into medical school. You have to be here. And we've already established this is the most likely thing to happen. This is more likely to happen. And this is the least likely to happen. But this is the most important thing you need to happen. Because our purpose, our true purpose with any of our classes is to get into medical school, not to be average. If someone told you you could go to medical school, you don't have to take any science classes, how many of you guys would take science classes? Nobody. You'd be taking dance, art history. You probably take PE. You probably wouldn't even go to class, right? If someone said, listen, you don't take any upper division classes, you go to medical school, nobody would take them. So understand, this is our sole purpose in undergraduate is getting into medical school. And if something doesn't give you a high likelihood of getting into medical school, it ain't something we're doing. So therefore, we just did a simple 4 questions. We changed our objective. We assigned 4 scenarios, worst, best, most likely, and then we assigned likelihood ratios to the top 2, and we determined that this is the least likely to occur. However, this is exactly what we need to occur to get to our objective. Does that make sense? It's like if I told you right now, hey guys, listen, special contest today. You guys give me $500 and you have a 1 in a million shot of winning $1 million. Would you enter that contest? You would say, heck no, because the most likely scenario is also the worst case scenario, which is that I lose all my money. And the fact that if I got $1 million, yeah, that's great, but the odds of it happening are like nil. You would not make that wager. Yet, every day you guys make piss poor wagers and bets on your pre-med future, on your medical school future, and you don't recognize the consequences. You don't recognize the steep odds you just put yourself in an extreme disadvantage. And when it comes to taking 4 science classes in a term, let's talk about that. Excuse the children you hear me playing in the background. You guys can't tell my wife, but I gave my kid some candy when I got home today. I saw him, and he looked cute, and he saw that I had candy in my backpack, and he wanted some candy, so I gave him some candy, and now you're hearing sugar consequences outside this door. All right, so course load. So how many classes should I take? Okay, 3 factors. Are we ready? Who's ready for this? So now we're going to talk about the strategy behind choosing your classes and how many to take. Everyone wants to get real fancy and make this super complicated. I believe in simplicity. If you guys have been in my courses, I like simple. I'm a simple person. I'm not super smart, so I need simple. Simple, simple, simple. Course load, science load, life load. We're going to boil it all down to these 3 things. Course load, science load, life load. What is our purpose? What is our objective? To get to medical school. So if we're deciding how many classes we should take, we need to look at it as medical schools would look at it and decide on letting us in. These are the 3 areas they look at when it comes to how many classes you took in the rigor of your class load. Are we ready? Course load. Course load represents the totality of classes you take in a term. Meaning every single class you take in a semester, that contributes to the course load. The science load is the number of classes that are science you take per term. Life load is everything else you have heaped on you in terms of responsibilities and obligations. This is a subtle thing that people don't pay attention to, but medical schools pay attention to this. If you are doing 15,000 activities, or you're caring for your infirmed family, and you're commuting, and you're doing all these things, and you're able to relate that effectively on the application, they will take into account your life load and allow you to offset some of these things. So for my students who have children and families, things to support, if you can effectively relate that to the medical school committee, hey guys, my life load was huge. You don't say that, right? But you do it effectively and say, and show them that your life load was big. They'll cut you some slack on these 2. Most people don't understand this. So what they do is they have this tremendous life load on them. Their parents are sick, somebody's dying, someone's whatever, and instead of doing the proper thing and lightening their load or offloading that burden, they simply take it all on. They take 15 courses, 10 of which are science, and they're caring for their whole family. The end result, right, if this was a scale, is all these loads are too much to carry. Too many bales of hay and you collapse. Too many bales of hay and you collapse. Let's start here because I'll get to these. Because this is something maybe that's novel. How many people have heard of life load before in the consideration applications? Or it's just somewhat new to you guys. You guys didn't realize you could complain about your life situation and get some slack on your course load. Excuse me. Okay, we're ready. If you guys are liking this so far, give me a like right now while I talk about life load. There are two types of life load. Someone said our houses sound the same right now. It's crazy in there. Someone just took a tumble down the stairs. I might need to go do some chest compressions or something, be a doctor for a second and repair what's happening out there. Life load, obligatory and poor choices. Medical schools don't give you the benefit of the doubt if you're a poor choice maker. If you've decided to be involved in 15 clubs and have no meaningful impact in any of those clubs, and you use that as an excuse for why this is weak, medical schools will not give you a benefit of the doubt and not help you out in balancing these loads out. If you're a person who loves research and you love it so much that you neglect everything else in your life for that research, you spend 25, 30 hours a week in the lab during the school year, and because of that you take less courses, they will not give you the benefit of the doubt, and in fact they will penalize you because that's poor choices. That's poor prioritization, because we all know, or should know if you've been listening to my channel, research is not mandatory to go to medical school. So if you are choosing, right, what's our purpose? Right? What's the purpose? If you're choosing to focus on research instead of choosing to get good grades and to take a solid, rigorous course load, that is poor decision making. They can see that and they won't cut you slack on these two. However, does everybody understand the poor choices? I don't need to give more examples of poor choices. We all make poor choices, but some of us make poorer choices than other people. And it puts us in bad situations where we're behind the 8 ball. As part of this, I'm going to tell you guys how many courses and how many science classes you have to take. But part of poor choices that people often overlook, and it's one of the killers that messes up and makes it so you're in a really bad bind, and that's probably, if I were to ask the student who asked me this question about the 4 science classes to graduate on time, this is probably what happened to them. Poor course choices. So if you go in freshman year and sophomore year and you're taking all breath classes and no science classes because you're scared, you're pushing them back, all those things, and then in the last year or two you have to then, right, all that's left is science classes, that's poor course allocation. And therefore, if you don't step it up and take those classes and you start watering down your course load, that's a poor choice that you will get penalized for. Additionally, if you do that to yourself and you take a bunch of watered down humanities classes your first 2 years and you're left with science classes at the end, and you take the 4 classes because they make you, and then you get 2 A's and 2 C's or 4 F's or whatever it might be, and you don't perform well in that heavy science load, and you try to write, oh, is there anything else you want us to know? Hey, yeah, I want you to know that I know I've had great performance throughout my career, and I know you saw my senior year I had straight F's. Well, let me tell you this. This is going to be a funny story. You're going to laugh. All those F's are because I had to take all science classes for those terms, and I'm not good enough to do well in those classes. So please excuse all those F's and look at everything before that. Do you think as a medical school I want to hear that? And somebody in our group today said this, is that medical school is undergrad on steroids. It's all science all the time. There's no balancing out your course load. So if you then on your medical school admission try to tell them, hey, I'm ready for the rigor of medical school, but I want you to ignore the fact that I couldn't handle the rigor of undergrad because I failed to plan accordingly, got loaded down with science classes, and can't even handle a full science load as an undergrad, so please ignore that and think that I'm qualified for medical school. Right? It's the exact opposite of what they want to hear. And I see this all the time as students will try to justify, right? And I mention getting in arguments all the time with people. If you have a flaw in your application, you should bring it up and point it out to them and highlight the fact that you have never stepped foot in the hospital. You should highlight the fact that your GPA sucks. You should highlight that your MCAT sucks. You should highlight that you're a bad person. No. No. Because all you're doing is tattling on yourself. Tattling on yourself. And if you come in and say, ignore these F's because I made bad decisions, you just tattled on yourself. Yet, I see it all the time, people send me applications, and in that section, is there anything else you want us to know? Is there anything you want to clarify? People feel that's the time to spill their beans. They have this great application, and they feel the need to sabotage everything by spilling their guts. Hey, just so you know, I know this isn't on my record or anything, and I don't have to disclose this, but I want to let you know, I was a felon as a child, and, you know, I just wanted you to be fully informed. It's been expunged from my record, and I'm no longer a felon, but I want you to know, at one point in my life, I was a felon. Please pay attention to this. I want this to be the last thing you remember about me. Right? That's what people do. And it's an exaggeration, but you guys don't recognize the subtlety in the fact that you tell medical schools, I make poor choices, I'm a terrible human being, and then expect them to accept you. It ain't happening. So wait a minute. Does that make sense? So what are obligatory life loads? Well, obligatory life loads. I had to work, and I can demonstrate I am low socioeconomic status and could not survive without that work. I have sick family. I have old family. I have dependent family that I had to care for. Therefore, I could not take all the classes because I had to live away from campus where I could afford to live and support my family, or stay with my family to support them in other non-financial ways. That's obligatory responsibility, which offsets these. I have 15 children, and my children are all very young. I had to take care of them, therefore, I couldn't go to school full time. However, I assure you that my kids now are more grown than they were, and I have childcare arranged, and now that I'm entering medical school, I am ready to take on a full course load. I have put myself in a position doing blank, blank, and blank, and blank to have my children cared for. Does that make sense? And one that I tell women all the time to say, whether it's true or not, it should be true, but you'll figure it out later, is to tell medical schools, hey, yes, I couldn't take a full course load because I had kids, but it's solved because at that point my husband was focusing on his career, and now in medical school it'll be time for me to focus on my career, so my husband will be watching the kids. And when you say that, right, you take something that was an obligatory life load and that would prevent you from fully dedicating yourself to your classes, and you've taken it off the table for the medical school, and now they recognize you're ready to handle the science load. Does that make sense to everybody? Obligatory versus poor choices. If you are a poor decision maker, they will not forgive you for that. They will penalize you for it because they don't want, right? Medicine's all about clinical decision making. So if you're a poor decision maker, then what are we doing? Now, that's life load. Excuse me. Everybody liking this? Are we still on board? How many minutes are we going here? Where are we at right now? I can't see what's happening here. Oh, I'm doing something. I don't know what I just did. Dominica said, can they legally ask you if you have kids? No, they can't. And this is important, guys. This is an important thing. It's very, very important. Someone asked me, what did they ask me today? I had an email about this just today. Disabilities. Okay, so we'll do it together. This is off topic, on topic. Kids and disabilities. Should you tell medical school, thank you, Kasim, help me out. 35 minutes. Terry, thank you, 34 minutes. Should you disclose to medical schools first that you have kids? The answer is yes and no. The proper time to disclose that you have kids is in the interview. It's not in your application. Because people have, right, their biases, and if you say kids, they think, oh, their attention is split. You want to introduce your kids in the interview setting when you have the opportunity to clean it up and show them and talk to them about all the things that are going to allow you to fully focus on medical school in spite of your kids. So you should not mention your kids in your application. This is important. Which is why I talked about obligatory responsibilities. When it comes to kids, you shouldn't offset these too much. And we're going to talk about that in a second. When it comes to disabilities, you should never disclose your disability to medical schools. Quote me right now. You should never, ever, 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 ever tell a medical school, hey, listen, I'm disabled. Hey, I can't read. Hey, I can't walk. Hey, I can't whatever. Do not ever say that to the medical school. Why? Because it costs the medical school money to support you. Because there's a thing called the American Disabilities Act. And if you have a disability, a school has to do everything within their power. Correll, what up, man? Correll from New Mexico, what up? They have to do everything in their power to support you. So if you're in a wheelchair, they have to have wheelchair accessible classrooms. If you have difficulty writing, they have to help you and provide someone who can assist you with your note-taking. If you have auditory issues, they have to have devices and techniques and lecture notes for you, all these things to help you succeed. All those things cost money. So if you disclose to a medical school, I got a disability, please compensate me, right? Or please take care of me. They know that's going to cost their medical school money. And also you're going to be at risk of not being able to stay with it and stay caught up and get things done. And they don't want to risk that, so they're going to discriminate against you. They're not allowed to, but they will, right? It's America, right? We all discriminate. We discriminate every day. I don't like that. I discriminate, right? I don't like that spicy. Like today I had a sandwich, and all they had was that Grey Poupon mustard. And I was in the mood for a Grey Poupon mustard. So I discriminated against that mustard. I said, hey, spicy mustard, you are not allowed in my sandwich today. Thank you very much. You got too much spice in your life. That's what I said. So anyway, so do not disclose your disability. Once you get in and you get accepted, then pull out your list of 24 disabilities you have. Hey, I got a heart condition, can't be too stressed, I got an eye thing, got to sit close to the board. Hey, listen, right. All those things, you bring it out after you're in. And then you make sure you scrap tooth and nail to get your disability taken care of. Don't allow medical schools to say, oh, we don't have the resources, we don't have whatever. You say, no, guys, ADA, American Disabilities Act. Suck on this and get me a ramp, right? You use it to the full extent of what you got. The other extent, we're off topic here, but it's okay. We're all learning. The other offshoot of that is if you have a disability, real or imagined, it is all imaginary until it is diagnosed. Does everyone understand this? I can't tell you how many times students get all outraged because the school's like not willing to compensate you or not compensate you. What's the word I want to say? Not willing to support you in your dyslexia because you've never been formally diagnosed with dyslexia. The American Disabilities Act only applies to diagnosed conditions. So if you feel dyslexic, go get evaluated. Because feeling dyslexic, feeling anxiety doesn't get you support. Feeling like your legs are weak doesn't get you support. Having weak legs, having anxiety, having dyslexia does. So you must get diagnosed and get that. Thank you. Wendy said accommodate. They have to accommodate you. Thank you. What? Compensate. Accommodate. Right? The beauty of live right there. Accommodate. So they only have to do it if you're diagnosed. And what happens to a lot of people, and it's really kind of bad, is that they get to medical school, they're not diagnosed, they bring up this, hey, I've got whatever, and the medical school says, hey, you don't have diagnosis, it don't matter to us. And by the time you get diagnosed, you're so far behind, it becomes this insurmountable mountain you feel like. And it puts you in a really bad spot where everyone sees you as a disabled person who can't get by, who's got the Fs, who's doing whatever, and it's hard to go back from that and get the letter of recommendations. So you want to be able to hit the ground running, so get your diagnosis before medical school. All right, Christopher Dyson says, why would you want a doctor who can't handle multiple problems. Having the ability to juggle multiple obligations at once, well, should be a bonus. Christopher, you're right and you're wrong. Your second sentence is correct. Your first sentence is wrong. It's not mandatory that doctors can do everything. It's a nice bonus if they can do everything. But there are plenty of doctors who have physical, who have mental disabilities. At Stanford, there were plenty of people who took 6 years to graduate 4 years of medical school simply because they couldn't handle the course load. That was their diagnosed learning disability. So what? They're fine as physicians, because the truth about physicians is most physicians don't know everything. We have this great tool called UpToDate that is Wikipedia for doctors, and they will smile in your face as you're talking to them and say, oh, yeah, I know exactly what that is. Let me go ahead and get you some information on that. And they step out the room, and they're in there Googling, and they're on UpToDate, and they're looking up all the information, and they come back in and say, yeah, here's this packet I had just laying around, and this condition I'm very familiar with, and they run off this monologue from the website they just read, and they make themselves sound smart. But the truth is, being a physician is not what you know. It's not your ability to do all these things. The number one requirement of being a physician is the ability to acquire knowledge. So do you have the ability of, if you don't know something, can you get that something, and then can you apply it effectively? Which is entirely different than being able to memorize everything. Does that make sense? You can be a doctor in a wheelchair and roll into a patient room. There's nothing wrong with that. You can ask the patient, hey, you're tall, will you sit down so we can be eye-to-eye level and I can do the exam? There's nothing wrong with that. Additionally, people, for example, there's a physician, he's famous, we can talk about it, right? Who has multiple sclerosis, right? And everybody knows multiple sclerosis, right? Not great, lesions in the spinal cord, all kind of problems. However, they have an assistant who comes into all the rooms with them and helps them do the different maneuvers to get stuff done. So it's not a requirement, it's a bonus. Brandon, what up? The GOAT is here. You are correct. Who said they have UpToDate? Yeah, Dominica knows that UpToDate is legit, y'all. You want to impress your family? Next time your family... So you guys are all Premed, right? So people call you, your family's like, hey, Terry Premed. Listen, you're the only Premed in our family, and since you know so much about medicine, can you help me diagnose this? And they ask you questions. You never have any ideas. So you're like, yeah, that sounds good. Just take 2 Tylenol and put some ice on it, and it'll go away. That's what you say. But if you really want to sound smart, go to UpToDate and type in what they say, and then read that back to them, and they will think you are so smart. All right. I guess I'm the GOAT tonight. I love it. The GOAT, y'all. All right. So can we finally get to course load and science load? We just went off the train tracks there, guys. Oh, all right. Course load and science load. You guys ready? Three to 4 classes every semester. These are for my normal students. For my students with major obligations, greater than or equal to 2 classes every semester. 3 to 4 classes, or greater than or equal to 2 classes. Yes? Yes. Don't make fun of my turning either, Casey. Right? So if you don't have extraordinary life obligations, you need to be taking 3 or 4 classes every semester. Including, as you're wrapping up junior and senior year, you have to take 3 and 4 classes. Yes, greater than or equal to 2 classes. Someone asked, do labs count? Labs count for the 4th class, not for the first 3. Labs don't count for the 2nd class, they count for the 3rd. So Chemistry 1 and Chemistry 1 lab are not 2 classes. That's 1 class. Chemistry 1, Chemistry 1 lab, and English, that's 2 classes. For 3 to 4 classes, 3 main classes and a 4th can be a lab. The 3rd cannot be a lab. Does that make sense to everybody? People try to cheat. Oh yeah, I'm taking so many units this quarter. I've got chemistry and a chemistry lab, and then I had a physics lab left over, so I'm taking that physics lab. That's not 3 classes, that's 2. That's 2. Okay? 3 to 4, greater than or equal to 2. science load. When you first start out, freshman year, sophomore year, it's 1 to 2 classes. As you get to your upper division, junior, senior year, 2 to 3 classes. Same applies for lab. A lab is part of that 1 class. A lab is part of 3, is not part of 2. So when you get to upper division, you might take biochemistry and microbiology and microbiome lab. You still need, right, it's only 2 classes, you need 1 other class to round this out. Does that make sense to everybody? So Terry asked a good question. A discussion class is the same as a lab class. They don't count. So Terry said work. I got 3 science classes, 2 part-time jobs, blah, blah, blah. So if you need to take these many classes and you're limited because you have work and whatever, then make them all science classes. So take 3 science classes instead of 2 science classes and a whatever. If you only take 3 classes, make them all science. Like what I said for people down here. If you only take 2 classes a term, take all science. If you have to work to pay for your life, and that's why you're taking reduced classes, that work only counts if that work is for something that is mandatory obligation, not poor choices. So if you can't demonstrate that you're low socioeconomic status and you had to work and you couldn't take out loans, this is important. If you could have taken out loans and you didn't because you didn't want to take on the extra debt and instead you worked, that doesn't count. Nobody has sympathy for that. But if you say, hey, listen, I maxed out my loans, I do all these things, that then matters. So some of you guys want to support your fancy lifestyles, that's why you work, or you don't want to take out loans, and that's why you work. It doesn't cut the mustard. Nobody's going to care. Get the loans and get the grades. Everybody got it? It's simple enough, right? Do we make it very simple? Is there any confusion now about how many classes you should be taking? Simplicity. I love it, right? Because what is the ultimate purpose? What is our objective? To get to medical school. To get to medical school. If it ain't getting you to medical school, we're not doing it. We are not doing it. Taking 1 class at a time does not get you to medical school. So, we don't do it. We don't do it. Taking 4 science classes in 1 semester doesn't get you to medical school. It gets you to Mediocrity, right, or Averageville. And Averageville ain't on the way to medical school. You've detoured severely, and you're heading, right, you're heading to the south. Right, you're heading towards California, medical school. Am I a California snob? You're heading towards California, which is medical school, and you've severely detoured, and you've ended up in the deep south, which is average town. And if you're a deep south person, I don't mean to offend you, but the south is really on my bad list right now for stuff that's going on down there. If you guys aren't paying attention, south is going kind of crazy right now. Right? Florida got them white nationalists. They got a statewide national disaster going on right now, right? A statewide warning because they got the white nationalists down there doing rallies and stuff. It's crazy. But anyway, does everybody understand what we're talking about here? Is this long enough? Are we good? Can I get off here? How many minutes are we at right now? Kasim, how many minutes are we at right now? Yeah, Kendra said it. Southern lady here, it's a hot mess. It is a hot mess. I concur. It's crazy. Flee. I felt like when I went to the South, I had transported back in time like 80 years ago. I was like, holy smokes, where are we at right now? Right? I'm like, man, I got denied access to a restaurant in the South. I was like, guys, it's like 2000 something. What are we doing here? It's like 2016. How you deny me access to the restaurant? Because I'm black. It's crazy. It's 2016. So anyway, I hope that was helpful. If that was helpful to you guys, like this video, share this video, comment on this video. We're back at it. We're going to start going regularly every Monday again. And then also, we're going to have a special topic. So who saw my man Harvey Weinstein get busted last week? Get busted last week. And I think it's an important issue to talk about. And everybody's sharing these things about sexual harassment, sexual assault. And I'm going to share with you guys a couple very, very sensitive topic, but very, very poignant, very, very important discussions regarding sexual assault, trauma, and overcoming that trauma. And then also, furthermore, for people who haven't been sexually assaulted, when you are harassed in any kind of way, whether it's ethnicity, whether it's disability, whatever it is, if you are bullied, if you are mistreated, if someone is treating you differently for whatever characteristic you have, whether it's a sexual assault, regular assault, it's harassment, whatever it might be, we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about how we can maneuver around that and shield ourselves from this onslaught and still persevere in spite of harassment, assaults, all these things, and not let what other people do to us affect us and control us, and how we can push through that. So that's going to be our topic. I think we're going to do Thursday. I said Wednesday, we're going to do Thursday. I'm on call Wednesday. So Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we're going to be talking about sexual assault, sexual harassment, discrimination, sexual orientation, ethnicity, whatever it might be. If you're being mistreated in the workplace or in your academics, A, how do you not become a victim of that? And then B, how do you rise above it and carry on and use it to motivate you to move forward? So there we go. Does that make sense? Is everybody excited for Thursday as well? I'm excited for Thursday. If you don't know, my website is premedproductivity.com. Get over there. Courses are off the hook. I'm actually going to hop off here right now and finish up. I'm on the very last section. I'm so excited. I'm on the very last section. I'm doing application stuff now of my new course, How to Dominate Pre-Med, the definitive guide. It's crazy long. It's for my people who are already in the course. I'm over 20 hours right now of filming, and I haven't got to the application stuff. So we're probably going to end up around 25 hours-ish. But I'm debating. So people who are already in the course, please send me a message. Either email me or send me a message on Twist. Let me know if so far, if I'm being bloated, if I'm being overly wordy, if I'm going into too much detail, if I'm giving you too much, please let me know. But if you like it, then that's cool too. But if you think, hey, listen, cut this course down, it's getting to be too long already, then let me know so I can cut back on it. But How to Dominate Pre-Med, the definitive guide, it is the greatest pre-med course ever created. Ever created. It's so sick. It's my masterpiece. Masterpiece. Yes, this Thursday, Courtney, 16, 17, 18, 10, 19 at 6 p.m., we're going to be talking about harassment, discrimination, and how to overcome it, and how not to let it label you, and how to come back from trauma if that's happened to you. All right. So you guys have a wonderful evening. I'm going to go see if my kid survived that fall. It sounded crazy. Please don't call CPS on me because I neglected him as he fell. So anyway, you guys all have a great evening. Please, please, please share and like this video and get to my website, premedproductivity.com, premedproductivity.com. Whoop, 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 whoop. Later, guys.